Hello and welcome to HazarDice Building, a series where I put my amateur miniature building skills to the test and tackle some unique or interesting hobby projects. Today I'm going to put together a Corsair kill team for my friend Alex. We've been thinking about dipping our toes into Games Workshop's smaller scale 40k skirmish game, Kill Team. It's a much more affordable way to get started with Warhammer 40,000 if you're not willing to spend a couple house payments on plastic. Since it focuses a bit more on the individual models that comprise your kill team, it can lead to some fun hobby ideas to create a more personalized team. You know, if you're into that sort of thing. Which I am. Anyway, the game has sub-factions within the major factions to play with. I picked the Veteran Guard, or at least I'm going to use the rules for the Veteran Guard. As you can see here, instead of the usual Krieg team, I made my own heavily kitbashed version, in the totally not cliché at all color scheme of black and red. But enough about these losers. Alex, with his love of elves and pirates, has decided upon the Eldari Corsairs for me to put together and paint. And in no way am I forcing this hobby upon him, regardless of what he might say from my basement. While the Corsair models are great, aside from the weird mohawks, I wanted to give them a more personal touch. A team of murderous, bloodthirsty raiders he can call his own is my goal here today. To help with that, I've got a lot of various space elf bits from my pile of shame, and now I've got an excuse to put them to good use. For what little lore I can be bothered to come up with, let's say this crew is part of a small fledgling fleet, and their leader is rather melodramatic with delusions of grandeur, who likes to call himself the Raven Prince. That's about as far as I got, but it's a good enough starting point. So let's start with the Raven Prince himself, as he likes to lead from the front and go with his men to get his hands dirty. The biggest change will be taking some wings from the Swooping Hawk kit and making them fit onto the back. Add an eye patch with a tiny bit of green stuff to help with the pirate look, add a couple more bits from the original kit, and bam! One Raven Prince. Nothing too drastic, admittedly, but I think it's enough to make him stand out. With him done, I can start on the rest of the Corsair specialists, the next being the true Blademaster Kernathi, the edgy blade boy. Anyway, to make him even edgier, I used some Drukhari Incubi parts with some of the bits for the Kernathi provided by the Kill Team box. After that was the Shade Runner, and I honestly couldn't bring myself to change anything. I mean, just look at him. The cloak, the mask, the dual-wielding serrated knives. I thought the other elf was edgy, but you risk getting your eyes cut just by looking at this guy. Oh, and as a quick aside, be careful with your minis. Being my usual accident-prone self, I knocked down my Shade Runner and broke off one of their daggers that I don't have a replacement for. I tried to make a substitute jagged blade with green stuff, but as you can see, it doesn't look as nice. So treat your minis well. Next, we get to the one that I might have changed the most, the Soul Weaver. This just comes down to personal taste, but have you ever looked at a model and thought, wow, I hate you? In case the previous statement was a bit too subtle, I'm saying I don't like this model all that much. Though, admittedly, I can't quite pin down why. I don't know if it's just the pose or the face, and again, this is just my opinion, not a fact, but there's not a lot that I like about it. So, using the Succubus and Scourge bits with the Soul Weaver parts, I put together something that I thought might look a little bit better, at least to me. Though, my posing could have been better. Let me know what you think about the original model and my version in the comments down below. Now, when I first saw the Starstorm Duelist, I immediately thought, Cowboy. Which of course meant giving him a duster and a Stetson. Now, to make that work, I first had to cut off his pauldron. Then, to convince him that a green-colored cowboy outfit is the ideal fashion choice, I gave him a full lobotomy. Which is something you shouldn't do without some sort of cutting mat on your table, but I ended up doing it anyway, because I hate myself, and therefore I hate the things I own. I cut it around the tip of the model's ears, and afterwards filed it down more to make sure everything was nice and even. This is to make sure that the hat I will be making will look like it's sitting naturally on the Space Elf's head. To create the brim of the hat, we will take some green stuff and make a disc with it. I ended up making several because creating a basic circle is apparently too difficult for my brain, but eventually I got one that was round enough and made a few more as backups in case I screwed up. Once that was done, I left them on a surface the green stuff wouldn't easily stick to and let it cure for approximately 4 hours. This will make it easier to mold the brim into the proper shape. While that cured, I added more green stuff to the model, creating sleeves and connecting it to the cape to help create the duster. Back to the hat, I folded the disc just enough to have the brim curve like a Stetson, which I then glued to the top of the head, then placed a little ball of green stuff on top of the disc and matched it to where the head is, taking a tool to smooth out the ball and blend it into the disc, and now we have our Space Elf Cowboy. And hopefully no one will notice I forgot to put a hatband on it. For the Way Seeker, I changed the posing slightly, and to help him look a bit more distinct, I added some green stuff to his helm, to give him an emotionless faceplate. I also wanted to try my hand in making a spell effect. To achieve that goal, I did it the wrong way, which was rolling up little bits of green stuff and molded them into a sort of zigzag type pattern and hoped that it would look like lightning, which I'll let you decide that one. I think using a thin wire that was wrapped in green stuff would have achieved this effect much better, but I was running out of material. Next is a Kernite Hunter, who is said to have a special close bond with their animal companion. So I decided to give him a fursuit, or as close as I can get using his original parts and scourge bits, giving him the more bird-like helmet and talons on his feet. Moving on to the Heavy Gunner, I wanted to give him a battle-damaged look and put in some cuts, holes, and dents into various places of his armor. However, after making the model, I found out in the lore that Eldar armor repairs itself. So, let's just say this guy's armor doesn't get the chance to repair itself because he doesn't understand the concept of cover. Also, make sure you use the right tool and not stubbornly try to make the wrong tool work like I often do. Almost ruined the model for trying to make 3 different drill bit sizes work, but hopefully you can see the dents and holes in the armor, and that's what matters. For one of the Corsair warriors, I simply added the succubus head for the sake of variety. Nothing complicated here, but I think it shows that making one little change can create a more unique looking model. Finally, here are the Fate Dealer and Gunner. I don't want to say I got lazy with them, but I may have gotten a bit lazy with them. I'll admit, I couldn't think of anything special to do with them, and their original models still looked good, so I built them as instructed in the book. With the models put together, I could now paint them. Alex said he would prefer them to look a bit opulent, with a green and gold paint scheme with some black here and there. To also help with that look, I painted their weapons in silver and gave them obsidian black blades. And lastly is texturing the bases. Nothing fancy here, just used Vallejo rough gray pumice, which I then painted white so it looks like they're on snow or something, because it's what I had at the time. Here, let's get a better look at each member of the Raven Prince's strike squad. And thus I present the Raven Prince and his retinue of ravaging raiders. Tell me what you think. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Were there things you saw that could be improved? Leave a comment down below, as well as the usual YouTube thing of leave a like if you liked it, a dislike if you didn't. And if you did like this video, please consider subscribing to see more HazarDice Building. And since I'm already asking for things, why not check out the other type of content we have on the channel, like listening to me narrate a spooky story, or me and my buddies' co-op focused playthrough of Elden Ring. But regardless of what you do next, if you got to the end of this video, I would just like to say thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.